Hey, it's Steve Ouimet with Premier Guitar. I'm here with Chris Catero from Crank Amps. Chris, tell us a little bit. I'm going to just hand it over to you. Tell me a little bit about what we've got here. This is obviously bass amp here from Crank New.
Yeah. This is the first Crank bass amp, which has kind of been a sought-after product for us. A lot of people have been interested in it. So, being in the Crank tradition, we did something a little more old school.
Excellent.
Very kind of a 70s, early 70s bass tube tone thing going on. Let me kind of run it through. This is the Dirty Valve 200.
Very cool.
Be a Dirty Valve 300. This one has 5881s, 8 of them for your roasting.
That's rock and roll.
Exactly, it's way rock and roll. The 300-watt version will have 8 6550s.
Dude, I don't want to be on the bench for that one.
And we'll be doing a Dirty Valve D, which is using a 1,000-watt Class D module, which I've been a bass player for 25 years, and it offended me in all the right ways.
Excellent.
So,
all right, so tell me, let's take a look at the cabinet here real quick. What do we got? It's kind of a mix of...
this is a little different. This is the Basilic Cabinet.
All right.
Which is kind of based on my touring rig. I would use an 810 and a 412 together, very 70s kind of thing.
Yep.
And I had the idea of trying to combine the two into one cabinet just to see. So it's got a 212s and 410s in an 810 style cabinet. Both chambers are independent of each other, so you can run it together.
Okay.
Or you can completely run them separately, which opens up the avenue of being able to run even different amps to...
Say maybe one of the 1,000 watts along with one of these.
Absolutely, and you can change your tones around a little bit, so you can run maybe a cleaner boomy thing out of the bottom, put a little grit up on the top, whatever you know. Lots of combinations of what you can do.
Very, very cool. So you've got 5881s, and obviously you've got some 12AX7s in there.
Yes.
And this has got, obviously we've got sort of a master here. I love the growl. What's going on with what we got for controls?
Basically what we got with controls is you have the typical bass mid-range treble, a master volume, and a gain. Very, old school tube bass kind of thing. The differences on what we do have kind of the crank feature of all of our products is the sweep.
The mid sweep.
Yeah, and then basically with the sweep, that's a parametric EQ, parametric EQ that goes right along with the main EQ section.
Okay.
And it does some interesting things in the bass realm that you can really reconfigure things and start pushing lower end frequencies if you want. You can reconfigure it for slap bass, for really dirty kind of Sabbathy kind of stuff, And
Love the old Sabbath.
Where I come from in that realm. We also have a bright for those who like to get it a little spanky.
Want to rise above?
Absolutely. And a punch, and that punch is a mid-range reconfiguration, which puts a real throaty mid thing going on that'll really help bass players cut through the mix.
Well, let's do a couple of you want to just kind of give us some tone demos and maybe switch through real quick so we can hear the difference?
Here would be what would be the basic tone of it. Just no growl, sweep kind of in the middle, master's kind of in a middle way. So here we go.
All right. Sweet.
The fat, clean kind of thing.
Yep.
Now, and so you can hear what the difference in what the sweep does. You can start hearing.
Wow, if you were in the room right now, you'd notice that you might have to change your underwear.
Yeah, I know it's hard for the camera to pick up, but it really envelops and kind of gets the wide fat thing going with those sweeps.
Yes, it does.
Now you can add in some of the growl, and the growl's going to do a little bit of a low-end dirty push.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
That's badass. Well, what if you just brought it all the way up? What would happen if you just growled yourself out?
To you'd reconfigure some things because it's really voofy. So you end up bringing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'd have the growl up all the time. That's just way too cool.
Now let me show you when you add I'll bring this back down a little bit so I don't kill you. And I'll put in the mid-range punch.
All right.
Now this is just going to re-voice everything in the mid-range. And you can try a bunch of different tones with it. Like you can take the growl out, keep the mid-range in.
We got to talk. This is one badass bass amp. That's
Thanks. We put a lot of time in with Tony Crank, our chief designer, and we went did a lot of R&D on this thing, man, trying to get it right. Because I mean, we've had so many people ask us about bass products, and you know, I'm the only bass player at Crank, so I've always felt like really, you know, underprivileged there and whatnot. But with Tony, we've gone back and forth on it a lot, and he really nailed something in here that I think a lot of bass players are going to like, because it's a very rock and roll amp. It fits in great with the guitars, and that's always a big issue, you know.
I agree.
To fit in and not kill everybody at the same time.
That's right.
Finding sonic space, it just kind of molds in with the rock and roll thing.
It is very rock and roll, so thank you so much. Chris Catero here at Crank Amps at just crank.com or Crank Amps?
Crankamps.com. You can get all the more information. This product should be launching April-ish.
Excellent. Thanks so much for your time, Chris.
You got it, brother.
All right, Steve Ouimet with Premier Guitar, and we'll see you soon.